The chairman of BRICS is Excellency Xi Jingping. Heads of states, heads of governments, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. It's a great pleasure to join you. Normally I would send warm greetings from Fiji, but today I'm in Vienna, where this week Fiji was proud to adopt the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. Mr. Chairman, I wish to congratulate you for the objective of this 14th BRICS Summit. If we can truly foster a high-quality BRICS partnership and usher in a new era for global development, you will have made a great contribution to overcoming some of the most difficult challenges of our time. The issue before us is how to turn those good intentions into action that goes beyond summits and speeches. The pandemic, geopolitical clashes, staggering price increases for food, for freight, fertilizer and fuel, and a planetary crisis spurred by climate change all present huge challenges to every nation, to the community and person, including the over 3 billion people that BRICS represents. These multiple crises require wise use of resources. Indeed, they demand that all leaders act to solve humanity's problems, not create new ones, the worst of which is conflict. Whatever name we give them, wars are a tragic waste of resources that could be spent improving the quality of life for all people. And given the interconnected nature of our world, conflict anywhere can deny even the most basic access, such as food and energy, for hundreds of millions of people, further marginalizing the already marginalized. I am also deeply concerned by the trend towards autocrats and anti-globalists. Free inquiry, accountability, cooperation, and adherence to international law give us the best shot at our best future. The need for collective action to combat pandemics or develop resilient and sustainable economies requires the full participation and acceptance of all countries and all people. We need to hear ideas, and those ideas need to be analyzed, discussed, and debated. And that includes ideas put forth by political leaders. Excellencies, the challenges we face have imposed a particularly severe burden on small island developing states. The Pacific is facing intense and more frequent climate-induced natural disasters. In a matter of hours, these storms will wipe away years of developmental gains and investments in critical infrastructure, with long-term consequences for health, for food, for security, and livelihoods. And this is in addition to the insidious changes in weather patterns and the relentless rise in sea level and warming of the ocean. As we emerge from the devastating economic wreckage of the pandemic, we are doing all we can with our limited resources to mitigate and adapt to climate impacts. BRICS can form the basis of an important partnership for ensuring that no nation is left to face disease and the ravages of climate change alone. In fact, it has great potential as a force to make up ground on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. We learned long ago through the South-South cooperation that the established powers were not the only source of valuable support, nor necessarily always the most decisive. BRICS can be an important means of bringing the entire world's intellectual, financial, and technical resources to bear on the drive to achieve global sustainable development. Initiatives like the Global Development Initiative and the International Research Center of Big Data for the Sustainable Development Goals are promising guides to produce development that is greener and bluer and more balanced, informed and robust than ever before. Fiji is enacting far-reaching policies out of the belief that a better relationship with nature will mean a better future for all. We are also making every effort to sustainably manage our vast ocean resources. As you know, Excellencies, Fiji and the Pacific Island states have jurisdiction over vast expanses of ocean that constitute our exclusive economic zone, our EEZ. Fiji has committed to the 100% sustainable management of our EEZ, with 30% designated as marine protected areas by 2030. As we expand investments in sustainable aquaculture, seaweed farming, and high-value processed fish, we expect all nations to respect our sovereignty over the ocean territory. It is a huge area for a small nation to patrol, and we must depend on the goodwill of nations with greater resources to regulate their fleets and ensure that their citizens respect our sovereignty and respect the ocean itself. And as we build back better, we will need to tap into private sector finances, efficiency, and innovation to support our economic recoveries. And the world's largest economies, such as those in BRICS and beyond, must seriously commit to climate financing, and in so doing, manage and ease the worsening climate-driven debt burden on the most vulnerable economies. Excellencies, we seek greater cooperation in ensuring access to the larger BRICS market for Fijian and Pacific-made products. We are concerned about non-tariff barriers that keep exports from Fiji and the other Pacific nations out of some of your markets. For example, broad new registration requirements place an unfair burden on exporters from small island developing states. When such requirements are put in place, nations must make sure they are as narrow as possible and do not unnecessarily inhibit trade. Fiji has long sought a multilateral system where small island states with large ocean spaces have a voice at the highest levels of global economic governance, and a global governance architecture in which our land size and economic scale is not used as a pretext to exclude us. The BRICS partnership can help us get there. With the right commitment, I am confident that it will. Thank you.
Prime Minister Bainimarama, small island developing states indeed face a unique set of development challenges. China is prepared to work with Fiji and to get the international community to intensify practical cooperation with small island developing states. Now, I give the floor to Prime Minister Modi.